back, everybody, to another edition of Stoking the Coals, brought to you by Bench Burner Sports, Bench Burner MMA, and we're going to be talking about UFC 317, Topuria versus Oliveira. And I'm Knuckles, joined by Squared as always, and just to start it out, before we start breaking down the card, I'm just going to say, what a fucking card! what a what a special treat that card was. But as always, we appreciate you guys being in here. And just get ready for us to break down this card. We got a lot to discuss, and implications throughout nearly every single division we're had tonight, especially the lighter weight classes. And and stay tuned for it should drop this same week, probably later on in the week, our mid-year fight awards as we do middle of the year. We were kind of going into that wondering what card of the year would be, but I think we our card of the year so far would be, but I think we might have got our answer. But anyway, I'm Knuckles. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Squared, what's up, man?
Dude, I am doing good. Kind of. Big Charles fan, so I'm not doing perfect, but I'm still doing pretty good because that was an electric card. Absolutely loved it. And even as a big Charles fan, I can appreciate a moment like that. But of course, everybody follow us on X at bench_burner, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, all the other places. You'll find us at Bench Burner Sports. It's a fairly unique name, so it shouldn't be difficult to find us. And we're more than likely there. I think the only thing we're not on is like Threads, maybe. And
oh yeah,
sure, I'm forgetting.
That's like the new thing, sponsored by UFC.
We're definitely not on Blue Ski either, Blue Sky, whatever it's called.
Blue Sky.
Yeah.
And True Social, we're not there.
Yeah. No. You never know. That might become like law that we got to be on there.
But, fucking who knows
that? But if you got it, search us up on there. There's a good chance you'll find us. We put content out at a somewhat healthy rate, and always looking to put more out. Been kind of working at that, especially over the last month or so. So follow us there. We really appreciate it. Let's dive into this card, dude. A lot to talk about, to say the very least.
A ton. And this will be probably a longer episode for some. We're starting this a little bit late at night, so we're going to kind of try to mediate this for ourselves and for the viewers as well. But to start out, we're going to talk about Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. A lot of questions coming into that fight. Obviously, me and Squared were riding the vibes with Oliveira. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out for us. Although, what I have to say, man, is that like who's going to stop him? Who's going to stop Topuria? Like who? As you guys know, if anybody watched the fight, who hasn't, or whatever, if anybody hasn't, Topuria won by first round knockout. He put Oliveira clean out. Just brutal. He continues to do this against the top tier talent. Oliveira, meanwhile, he had a few good moments. He had a step and elbow that, again, also, what the fuck is Topuria's chin made of? Because watch it back, Oliveira hit him with a step and elbow that probably would have colded most people, and he just kind of stumbled and then like resumed fire. And I was like, what are you made of? And then Oliveira had him in a little bit of a tricky situation with the heel hook, but I think he was dealing with the blood in his eye and just being kind of battered already at that point. And Topuria just, man, I'm gonna say it, he's the best fighter on the planet, pound for pound, number one, in my opinion.
I have to agree. Obviously, Islam's right now pound for pound number one, and he's on the journey right now to do what Topuria just did and move up and become a 2-division champ. But like right now, Ilia has done it, and he has done it in insane fashion. I mean, people keep on saying this, but it's really true. The 3-fight win streak. I mean, he's on a 17 or whatever it is fight win streak. But the last three, that is just the most insane lineup you could possibly get, and to finish them all the way that he did. People don't, Charles gets knocked down. He gets those things. He's been TKO'd before, but the way he did Charles, no one's done that. Fuck if it didn't hurt so bad to watch. And I'll say this, dude, it helped that I deep down expected that. Like he was like, This is a very legitimate possibility. Charles is a little chinny. He might get just his lights cut out. And you can ask Max. I don't know. He might have not been paying attention. I'm sure he was jumping up or whatever. But when it happened, my actual reaction was literally just, yeah. Like it was literally just like, that happens. That's what he does.
I think I just did one of these. I was just like I just went.
Yeah,
just side,
I expected myself to like cringe or like do that. I just was like, yeah, he does that to everybody's favorite fighter, doesn't he? And now it's my turn. Shit. Again, I liked Volk a lot and I like Max a lot, so I had to kind of suffer those ones. Now he's got my favorite.
Right. And see, like out of us three, I was gonna say your guy's out, his guy's out. I swear to God, if Ilia Topuria moves up to middleweight and knocks Robert Whitaker out, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
It's all been a vengeance against Bench Burner. He's just coming for our
guys. Shit. He's like, I hate you, motherfucker. No. But he's special, dude. I know that he's not hitting the like social stride. And what I mean by that is like what Connor did with I mean, Connor, I don't know what it was. It was exuberance or something that really carried him into superstardom. But Ilya's doing the same thing, and realistically, he's doing it kind of in the same fashion. But I think the difference is honestly, it's the Irish accent for Connor really like hit really well.
It's that people underrate how much just him being Irish and having a funny accent. Not saying Irish accents are funny, but just like that. Oh, this guy's got an Irish accent. He's yelling shit. That was an element that Connor had that like catapulted him. Just like wanted to hear this guy just be like, what a fuck, Like.
Yeah, and well, that's the thing. And I think like with Ilia, what the difference is, he is very like good, and he knows what he's doing. He celebrated the night before he knocked out Charles and shit. Like he called around, he was going to do it and he's been calling a lot of like what he's going to do, how he's going to do it to a point, But he's like before the fights happen, he's already celebrating. I think he's celebrated like the last 3 fights in a row. He was calling himself the a featherweight champion before he knocked out Volk, and the confidence is there. I just think he's very soft spoken though. When he talks, he's not brash. He's very just well mannered, and he says it in a very well mannered way. Just says that I'm gonna win. I believe in myself. I'm gonna win. Like watching the Joe Rogan podcast that he was on, he was very soft spoken during that whole thing, talking about himself, talking about others. I mean, and again, this goes back to the fight, but after the fact, after he knocked out Charles, I think everybody, I'm sure including ourselves, were wondering who does he fight next, what makes sense, because there's a lot of options out there. Obviously, there's 3 very major options, which is Paddy, Arman, and Justin. Obviously, Paddy got the call into the octagon. Joe Rogan kind of helped with that a little bit because Ilia did call out Arman too, but Joe like no-sold that whole thing and said, I think you're talking about Paddy. And
which is funny because then Dana was all pissed off and he was like, whoever the fuck did that? And it was like, dude, it was Joe. You gonna get on
you're gonna be pissed. Well, and I guess like later on, like, the clips were saying that he was mad, and I guess later on after that fact, he was more so, and somebody probably got in his ear and told him that like, hey, Joe did it, and he probably changed his tune. But he said later on, he was more mad about the call out, like the call into the octagon happening while Topuria's wife and child were in the octagon.
I did see where he mentioned that. Yeah.
So that might have had something to do with it. I also do think that like knowing Dana, I really have this sneaking feeling. I think that they'll do. I think they might do the right thing and give it to Patty. Like, don't get me wrong, does Patty deserve it? Probably not. But it's
Yeah,
the fight.
it may not be the right thing, but it's the best move.
It's going to sell the most. It's going to sell the
Oh
most
yeah,
tickets. Like, you're going to get way more buys out of that fight than you like. I think that Patty would sell the
those
most.
are arguably because I would argue that Ilia is now the biggest star in the UFC. His first of all, the UFC is pushing a star when they release their pay per view knockout on.
Yes.
Like they let everyone
Yeah.
post it free, all that stuff. They did it with Sean O'Malley when he knocked out
Yep.
Aljo. They've done it.
Yep.
They did it at UFC 300, which that was that wasn't like was the big
Landmark, just a landmark pay per view.
yeah. And then now they've done it for this, which has been brutal because I've had to rewatch that now a billion times. But yeah, like he's the biggest star. It was Poatan up until his loss versus Ankalaev, kind of slipped down a little bit.
Right.
You could say that Ilia kind of took it over at that point, but I feel like there was just kind of whoever was the biggest star was a bit of a no man's land. He
Yeah.
definitely took it last night. But my point was they posted that knockout last night. Last I checked, it's got 9.4 million views,
Yeah.
and the Gaethje Holloway one, which that was the biggest thing for like the longest
That was
time.
the best knockout of last
Yeah,
year.
everyone
Yeah.
was freaking out. It was one of the UFC's most viral moments. Now, over a year later, has 9 million views. So it's already
Yeah.
surpassed that. That's
And that's
insane.
the thing.
Overnight. Let me double check to make sure I'm not.
No, you're good. But like while you're looking that up, people don't realize like Americans will see Ilya and they'll be like, "Who's that?" People don't realize how popular he is in Europe. Like he is
Yeah.
hands down the biggest European star. And in America, he's starting to get there. Very well spoken in multiple languages. He was talking to Charles. I'm assuming they were speaking in Spanish. I don't know. Whenever they were up on stage, because a lot of Brazilians know Spanish. Um, so I'm assuming they were speaking in Spanish. But he knows multiple languages, widespread. He'll probably be popular in Brazil now that he's knocked out Charles. That just tends to happen.
Yes, I was right. 9.4 in 16 hours versus
That
9
is
in one over a year.
that's crazy. That's crazy. And like Holloway and Gaethje were considered like two of the bigger stars. And going off of like based off of numbers and stuff, I was gonna say that I think that the pay per view that sells the most is Ilya and Patty. Justin is second, and unfortunately, Armin is like third. He's not going to sell it. And I think the reason Dana was so pissed is because I think he has a plan. I think he's going to have him. I think he wants him to fight Justin, just to do Justin a solid. But then at the same time, he also said that like Justin was pissed because he said
He
if
called Justin wacky for saying that.
wacky, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, Armin might get it. I don't know. It's tough to call because again, how much Dana touch is in the conversation in the war room setting up the fights. I don't know because Mick seems to do a lot of that. Mick and Sean and Hunter do a lot of that work. Um, I want to say I still have faith that Patty will be the next one. I think he'll be the next one. In that fight, that face off was great. Very good face off, very good call. Even though Dana didn't like it, I think that was such a good idea to get them in there.
Yeah. It's definitely the right move on all bases for the UFC to make business
Yeah,
wise because I don't know how much bigger. I don't know how much bigger Ilya is going to get by knocking out. I mean, if he knocked out Gaethje, that would probably help a good bit. But like knocking out
right.
Armin, probably not going to do a lot for him hype wise, other than just be another
No,
highlight reel and people being like, "Holy shit!" But I don't think he's going to get so much bigger that it's worth like risking throwing him in another fight. Go ahead and make this one.
yeah,
Patty could probably do something to get bigger, but he's a big name. Like people know who he is, so might as well make this one while the iron's hot. And yeah,
if
do
I
this fight.
honestly, if I had my druthers, if I was Dana White, if I was the UFC, don't get me wrong, like Patty probably actually would still sell more. But if I was Dana White, if I was the UFC, if I was Hunter, all of them, I would break out the fucking piggy bank, crack that dude open, and be like, "Hey, Islam, let's let's put that welterweight fight off for one more fight.
Yeah.
Let's put it off because
What sucks about that is the only way we're going to see that fight now is if Islam loses to JDM, and then that
yeah,
fight becomes a little less intriguing at that point. So
yes.
that seems to
The
be
thing is,
the
the thing is, I like the more I think about it, I think there's a very solid chance JDM wins. I mean, we talked about it before. I just, because here's the thing, I don't want to see Islam versus Ilia at 170, and I could very well believe, and I think Ilia will go on a massive run at lightweight. I legitimately think. I think he'll have three title defenses in a row where he knocks out probably every single one of them. If he doesn't knock him out, he's going to club and sub him. Um, and it's probably going to be like Armin, Patty, and at that point in time, I don't know who the third one would be. It would just be who's on a run. Maybe like Roofy could get up in there, maybe possibly at that time. But again, it depends on how fast he defends. And then after that, I could see Ilya being like, okay, I've defended the belt. I've gotten close or, to the record. Now I want to go up and I want to fight Islam at 170. And I do not want to see that fight at 170. I don't want to because don't get me wrong. Yes, like Ilya has otherworldly power, but there is a point in time where the size becomes a difference and Islam rehydrating from 170 compared to 155 is worlds difference. He's going to be, if they fight at 170, Ilia will weigh 180 on fight day, maybe. Um, Islam will weigh 205 pounds, like probably over like 200 close to it, because I think him and Habib, when they fought at 155, outside of camp, were walking at 190. And I don't need to like, I can't imagine 170. I don't need to see Ilya just be small. And a lot of people are like, oh, what? A lot of people will be like, what's the difference between 155 and 170? They're still fighting. There's a difference. There's a
yeah.
difference in weight. Uh, it's very like, there's reasons fighters go up to different weight classes and have different successes and stuff. Anyway,
This while keeping in mind that Ilya was like at least size wise. I know he's kind of like a very stocky, solid person, but
yeah,
size wise, he was even kind of small at featherweight. So he's a
yeah,
tiny lightweight. Don't
dude.
be going up to 170.
When they had him face it, like Charles is tall and like Charles looked fairly tall against him, but he didn't look like bulky against him. Um, when Patty faced off with him, now Patty obviously like when he is out of camp, he's fucking
He said
huge.
he's 195 right now.
Right. When he faced off with Patty, I was like, oh my, like height and everything. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God. I'm like, Patty is fucking huge. And I remember when Patty fought Chandler, I was like, because Chandler's stocky, but like Patty looked big against him. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what? Like, so, I mean, I still think Ilya knocks him out, but do we think Patty has a chance?
I'd say he's got a chance. I don't sleep on Patty anymore. Patty always finds a way to rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
But that being said, I mean, the thing with Ilya is, dude, I'm not saying like he relies on this because he's a very great technical fighter, but all he has to do is land that one shot.
Yeah.
And sometimes people say that and they'll say it about a fighter that like has really good knockout power, but sometimes they can't find that shot. He almost always finds that shot, and it puts people out. And I
Yeah.
don't see. I know Scousers don't get knocked out, but breaking news, they do. I'm pretty sure the guy that Edson Barboza had that nasty spinning wheel kick, that dude was a Scouser. He got knocked the fuck out. And dude,
All
you've
Terry
been
at him.
pinned and wobbled, and you've been kind of sat down.
Yeah.
If people can sit you down,
Didn't
Poirier
Luigi
can put
Ven? I
you
was gonna
out.
say Luigi Vendramini like rocked him. Like
Yeah, yeah.
like
Yeah.
it. I
If,
mean, it'd be interesting.
United Healthcare shooter can wobble you, then then Taporia can put you out.
Good shout. Good shout. Um, yeah. So that being said, obviously huge implications going on and like this makes me so excited for the future of lightweight, welterweight. I mean, even like a little bit of a tie to featherweight. I don't think Volk's ever going to go up and fight Ilya. That doesn't seem to be a bright idea.
No.
But God bless it. I mean, that fight, even with us, especially like you. with Oliveira losing. And again, real quick, with Oliveira, but hold on, sorry, I'm stumbling over my words. Super excited to see what comes in the future for everybody and what happens with the division. That being said, I think that Oliveira, I said it, I tweeted it out, and I still stand by this because there was some heat in the fire a while back, maybe like a year or two ago, when Colby mentioned fighting Oliveira and somebody else brought it up, and it was like a conversation piece for a little bit, for a while. But I believe that Oliveira right now is the time to move up and to fight Colby Covington and beat the dog shit out of him. Because
Yeah.
number one, we know Colby ain't going to knock him out. We just know that ain't going to happen. And if Colby takes him to the ground, he's not going to be able to kind of dog walk him on the ground like he does other people. And Colby's pressure is always intense, but I believe that Oliveira is going to keep pressing. I mean, he fucking said he's going to do it against Ilia, and he did. He kept pressing him forward. It's what got him knocked out. He kept pressing forward, and without that knockout threat, that's going to fucking spell trouble for Colby because Charles is going to throw those teeps, and that's the fight that I want to see
Yeah,
next.
dude, I've been thinking a lot about what's next for Charles. I don't know. It could be something like that. If he stays at 155, then it's pretty difficult to call. It could be like a Gamrod or something like that.
I think he needs to take an easy fight if he stays at
Yeah,
155.
yeah, I wouldn't mind that. One thing's for sure, he's Brazilian, so he's gonna fight probably like 20 fights too much. Like you know how those Brazilians love to really ride it out. They love to go way too deep. People are begging them to retire. Even one of the greatest Brazilian fighter, Anderson Silva, did not know when to stop.
Like
So
fucking 9 fights. So just like
if you're worried about Charles calling it a career anytime soon, that's not going to happen.
that's what's going to be brutal is just watching him like his last
Yeah,
like 5 fights just get fucked up.
yeah,
But
that's the rough part. But it's the
fuck, give
price.
him Fiziev wouldn't be bad. I wouldn't be mad at that fight.
Yeah, yeah.
Like end of the year. Let
It'll
him
be
or like
interesting because we didn't we got to see a good bit of Charles, but not like we didn't even get to see a full round of him.
yeah.
It's kind of
Not
it was
often.
hard to
Not often.
gauge. Yeah,
Not often we get to see a full round of Charles. That
no,
motherfucker
no,
like
no, no. But it makes you wonder like where is Charles at in his career now? Like yeah, he got knocked out, but like he got knocked out by the guy who knocks everybody out. So like it's hard to gauge like is he washed? Is he like obviously I'd say he's past his prime. I think that is very fair to say, and I hate to say it, but it's fair to say he's past his prime. But it's like, is he washed though? I think maybe he might still be able to get some high quality top of the division wins. But it's hard to gauge from last night just because everything happened so quick. He had his moments and he did some nifty things, but yeah, no telling how that translates. So that's something to keep an eye on going forward is just where Charles is at in his career. Dude's 35, about to be 36 in October, I think, or sometime later this year. He's turning 36. He's definitely getting up there, which is crazy because it feels like just yesterday that he was the 31-year-old or 32-year-old champion. And fuck, man,
dude,
I
that run,
miss those days so much.
that run, like I will say, run he went on, it was like rare fighter, running through Tony Ferguson. I know Tony was Tony, but like running through him, running through everybody he did to get to the title, then winning the title the way that he did. Oh God, man! And then fucking knocking out Justin, like or clubbing something Justin, like
Right.
God, special times, man, special times. But hey, that's the sport. It's brutal. We all, we all get there. I think. Well, hey, to be fair, in the last, within the last year now, a little over a year, me, you, and Max have gotten to see our favorite fighters get fucking brutalized. My dude got his fucking teeth broken. So I mean, but uh, all right, so the next fight up, obviously, is Pantoja versus Kai France. Alexandria Pantoja beat Kai France by submission, rear naked choke. I think he subbed him cold, right? I think he went out cold, if I'm not mistaken. Or at least he's he's like laying like flat on his face.
Yeah, he was down for a little bit, but I'm
Uh,
pretty sure. he looked.
he probably did the Justin where he tapped but then went out.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it was that the second or third round. I don't remember.
I believe
All I know
it
is
was
it
the
didn't. I think it was the third round. All I know is that it doesn't matter because Pantoja dog walked him every single second of that fight. Kakar France, good fighter. Pantoja, legendary fighter. I mean, like, I would give my left nut to see him versus DJ in his prime, like prime versus prime. That would be a fight that I'd have to watch, have to see, like, because Pantoja, man, he's special. He is a special champion, special fighter, deserves to be talked about, and like, he's top 3, 4 pound for pound.
yeah.
I think the only 3 fighters above him right now are Marab, Islam, and Ilia, the guy we just talked about.
He's one of those fighters that definitely, once he got the throne, it seemed like it just unlocked something new in him. Obviously, he was a great fighter beforehand, but I mean, dude, ever since he's gotten in there as the champion, I remember when he won the championship versus Moreno in
Yeah,
2023.
that was a
I
splitty, right? Wasn't it? I
It
think
was
it
a
was.
split. I personally had thought that Moreno won, but it was like close enough one that I wasn't like being like, what the fuck? But
Right.
I just remember being like, all right, well, I don't know if he holds on to this long because maybe Moreno gets back in there and, gets him again or, who else ever. But, dude, he has just shut shit. There was the Urseg fight that was really close, but he has shut shit down as
Yeah.
champion. He is people haven't even been able to touch him
Yeah.
outside of that Urseg fight as
Yeah.
champion. It's crazy.
And I think I was gonna say I think the styles make fights big time too. And I think in this one, when you're coming in with heavy guns like Kaikar France and just kind of showing your hand early that you're trying to knock the guy out, Pantoja is going to run in because number one, we know 2 things about Pantoja. He's best grappler in the division, arguably, and he has the best chin that we've probably ever seen in the division. Guy's never been finished, never been knocked out. I don't even know at this point if he's really been like maybe knocked down just but a few times. Um, I think Figgy might be like one of the only ones that might have like truly knocked him down. Which is, that's Davison Figueiredo. When he was in his prime, he was fucking everybody up.
Knocked
But
down Cheeto too.
huh?
I said he's knocked down Cheeto too. So that
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say he cracked Cheeto's chin. So yeah, um, and man, and so when you're going in with that, with the legendary chin and the best grappling in the division against a guy who is relying on one weapon, that's what's going to happen. The one thing I will say, I don't have a ton to cook on this outside of just Pantoja is looks like I mean, he looks legendary. Um, the one thing I want to say outside of that is that I don't know if Eugene Behrman and if the crew what their plan was with this fight, but it looks like they did not spend even like a day drilling takedown defense. Like he got up once, I think, or whatever. Great, great. Every fighter should know how to like at least kind of get up, but he didn't. There was like not even a struggle when it came down to the takedown. There wasn't even a struggle. Like it just he got him down, and it was like that. And I was like Pantoja's a good grappler. He's very like I mean he's probably the best grappler in the division, but it's more so when he gets him on the ground. He's not the best takedown artist. He
Yeah.
just kind of happens upon takedowns a lot of the time or position to get onto the ground. And
Well, I'm trying to remember. Did Pantoja like hit him with anything clean like early in the fight that would like maybe he was keeping his hands up too much? And I know on the feet Pantoja was winning, but I also think that a lot of that was because maybe he was kind of
so
anticipating
the
the takedown, but then he wasn't ready for the takedown. I don't know, dude. He did not look ready for the moment. So
no, the first one was KKF like flashing power at him, and then Pantoja's just like, okay, that's what you're gonna do, and fucking like literally
yeah,
bum rushed him, like and got him up
yeah, I
against the
remember
cage,
that.
got him down. The one that like really where I was like, what are we doing? Was I think it was like Pantoja might have thrown like a straight or a jab, like right straight or left jab, and then just immediately dropped down and got like dropped down to the hips and got him on the ground, like threw a
Hmm.
straight and then dropped down, and it was like KKF just breathed in and was like, I'm accepting this, and it's like, what are you doing? Like every time it was a lot of like doubles. It was doubles grabbing the hips and doubles, and I mean, I don't have much to say about it outside of like I'm at a loss for words. You are going up against you fought the man before. I know it was 9 years ago, but like you fought the man before. You've seen the man fight. You've been preparing for this moment for your whole life, and this is what you're doing. It's not. I'm not trying to be an asshole and discredit him and this and that, but it's like you had to have known that this
Yeah.
was what's going to happen. Like I don't
Well,
know.
I'm sure you might remember during our preview episode, I kind of alluded to the way that Kaikar France likes to. This is gonna sound like I'm shitting on the guy, but and I guess I kind of am. But he chokes. He chokes in big fights. Either the whether there's an interim or a belt on the line. I won't call that one a choke, but he just never seems to be able to kind of put the pieces together.
Yeah,
This one really felt like a choke. Like he did not come prepared, as you were alluding
yeah,
to. He just looked like he wasn't ready for what was pretty obvious going into this fight. It's just a weird thing with him where it just, the Moreno one, like Moreno was, chopping trees on his liver. That's
yeah.
going to happen. So maybe I can't call that a choke so much.
No, and he was winning the fight. Actually, he was
Yeah,
turning the tides in the
yeah,
fight,
he was. He
and then
was.
Moreno
He'd
got
gotten, yeah, I mean, they're all kind of chokes in a weird way. Any loss you could
right,
say is a choke in one way or another.
right.
But for this one, it's just, and not to take anything, obviously, like Pantoja is, like we said, he's fucking great. So it's not, you're not really, I don't really expect you to like just be like, oh, just stuff the takedowns, just stop them. But like, like you were saying, it didn't even, there wasn't a struggle. It doesn't look like there was an
Yeah.
attempt. So that's why it's like, what the fuck, dude? That's
But
really
but
all I'm
also,
going to say about that. Is just
yeah,
Kai choked.
and good luck to Kai in the future. I mean, obviously, that's probably realistically, his last title shot he'll get, unless he just goes on some sort of legendary run. But talking about legendary runs, um, a man, a young man, a very young man, Mr. Joshua Van, he overcame the odds, man. He did not. He did what me, you, and Max didn't think he could do.
It was what, hey,
Realistically,
in our defense, it was what we were hoping he would do, but we didn't
no,
think he
for
would do
sure,
it.
for sure. But
I like to think that he listened to us, and we were all saying like, "Oh man, props to him. He's going to be in the UFC's good graces. They're going
yeah,
to get fight of the night." Blah blah blah. But I don't think he wins this one. He heard us say that. He goes, "I'm going to do all those things, and I'm going to win the fucking fight, and I'm going to get my title shot." That dude
man,
fucking
dude,
aced the night. That was
this
beautiful.
guy talking about we talk about Ilia Topuri's run. Obviously, it's the best like right now. But Josh Van, man, quietly, and I wish flyweight was more popular because obviously us we're hardcores. We watch this shit. This is like a legendary run that we were
It's
seeing here.
genuinely a
That
painful curse that division does not get a pop because their fights are
it's the
incredible.
best of it. Can I
Their,
can
their
I be
fights
honest,
are
man?
incredible.
When for fight, what we get to see for talent and everything else like that is probably one of the best. Now,
Yeah.
like skill wise, yeah, it's not as deep as some others, but like every fucking fight, dude. Like I go back to the one where speaking of Joshua Van, he lost the fight, but it was a banger. Was the fight against Charles Johnson? And look at Charles
Mhm.
Johnson and look at these guys. I mean, honestly, all the way through 15, um, 1 to 15, it's very solid. There's a few guys who are in like that range that maybe aren't the most exciting fighters, but like, we saw Cody Durden fight that one guy recently and he got knocked out. Super exciting finish, super exciting fight. We got to see Joshua Van brutalize Bruno Silva, Manel Kape brutalize Bruno Silva. We got to see, I think, like some of the worst ones, unfortunately, are when Pantoja just drowns these guys, kind of like he did against Royval. Like that's probably one of the worst ones in memory. But again, that's because Royval had nothing to offer Pantoja in that fight. But speaking of that, Royval had a lot to offer Joshua Van in this fight. First round, Joshua Van was tuning him up, looking great. And Royval kind of did what Royval does: turns back the clock, finds the range, figures this shit out. And I think the difference between the two fighters is Joshua Van adapts to the fight himself. Like he there's something in his head that he figures shit out, he figures timing out. Where like Royval, it's like he gets back to the corner and he
Yeah.
relies so much on the corner. And the
Yeah.
corner was telling him things, and I listened to it. Like the corner was telling him different things, and he was like listening intently. While you see Joshua Van, he's listening, but he's just like so focused on like getting back out there. And that's the crazy thing about different fighters. And Royval was relying on that second round or the in between the first and second round so much, and it worked so well. But going into the third round, the coaches were kind of telling him like same thing, do the same thing. And he did the same thing. And Joshua Van, in his head, like he does, he adapts, he overcomes, and he finds ways. And realistically, fuck that third round until the knockdown. If that knockdown didn't happen, I'm gonna be honest, we would have had a split decision. I think we would have had a split decision. But God, man, I could talk about this fight for. Can I say this too? Top 5 fight of all time. Top 5 fight of all time. I don't care what anybody says.
It was a work of art. It was so, and I've said this, you know what I think about what makes a good fight for me is competitiveness. And that was a competitive fight. Josh comes out in the first round, puts it on him, and I was like, holy shit, let's go, Josh. Let's do this. And I remember I texted you, I was like, man, Josh could get shut out the rest of the fight.
Yes.
And I'm
yes.
still like already like, this guy's a future champion just for doing that in the first round on short notice. And there was a moment, he started getting pieced up a little bit by Royval, and I was like, all right, maybe this is where Royval's experience and more preparation kicks in. But then Van starts answering, and they just are back and forth nonstop. Literally, me and Max were up in the bonus room just going, like just nonstop for like, we go. Like,
dude, I was fucking. So my son was in the room I'm in now. I was in the living room watching the fight, and I'm sitting there, and it's me. Like, if any of the viewers have ever seen, it was cringy as shit. That's just how I am. But the video of us reacting to Max Holloway's knockout, where I'm sitting there going, yeah, that was me from round 2 all the way through. Like round 1, I was sitting there, I was like, yeah, getting into it. I was like, fuck this kid. I'm like, oh, Van's fucking him up. And I was getting into it. And then like second round started, and I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, fuck yeah.
You're like that video of that guy watching the racehorses that he bet on. He's smacking his head.
I was sitting there, and my son fell asleep during the Pantoja fight. So he didn't get to I didn't react that crazy during those 2 fights. He should have been asleep during that one because he opened the door and he goes, "Dad, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yes." And I'm just like sitting there. I'm like, I yell back, "Yes!" And I'm sitting there, I go back watching the fight, and I could just hear him slowly close the door. And I think afterwards, I told him, I was like, "Hey, everything's good. I'm excited watching the fight, And like, I remember that third round. I was sitting there. I was like, "Oh fuck! Oh fuck! Oh fuck!" I was sitting there just holding my chair. And then I remember there was this moment where it was just exchange. Like Royval was hitting him, and then Van would hit him, and like Royval would hit him back. And I was sitting there I'm like, this is I can't remember what I said, but I was just like, this is fucking awesome. I said something out loud, something just like, I'm not talking to anybody except for myself. I was like, this is fucking
the
awesome.
Second he dropped Royval at the literally like I think 5 seconds left in the fight. I started doing my victory laps. I was like, dude, he won the fight. He definitely got that round, definitely got the first. I think 2 judges scored it that way, and then 1 gave him all 3 rounds, which I don't agree with. I think maybe the second round he did.
I think it was 29-28.
Yeah, but also like, dude, both those round or the second round was also so close that you can't really complain.
No, yeah, because Van
right guy won regardless, so whatever. But man, what a fucking
dude! I was like, I did the cringy thing, like people say that people are cringy when people clap after flights, right? Well, I clapped after the fight. I was like, dude, yeah. But again, like you guys are in there watching together. I'm by myself clapping, and my son's probably in here like, what the fuck is this weirdo doing? I just sat there and I was like, oh my, like I just remember I had my hands on my head after I clapped, and I had my hands on my head, and I go back in here and check on him. He's good, and I sat there. I remember I was like, we just watched it. And then immediately, like after, I tweeted out the tweet that's been banging now, but I said that we just witnessed one of the greatest fights of all time in UFC history. Like, top five. This invoked the same reaction that I got when I watched Lawler McDonald 2, because I watched that because that was the Chad Mendez and McGregor pay-per-view. Got the same reaction, like same like that. It kind of, this pay-per-view kind of felt like that in a way because
There's been some weird parallels with
dude,
Ilia.
I'm telling you, like,
It's very strange.
right, like and just I remember watching that fight, and like the first thing I thought of, I was like, I was sitting there in my head, I was like, was this better than Lawler McDonald too? And like for a second, I was like, yeah, and I'm like, no, no, it's not. Just because, and again, like I'm not the guy. I hate being the guy that says that title fights matter when it comes to like how good the fight is. Lawler McDonald too is that case where yeah, it did matter because of what was at stake.
It adds
Yeah.
like an intensity to the whole
But
thing.
if there was a title on the line here, top two, three, easy, hands down. But it is top five for sure. The two that I can immediately put above it, just barely out off of the top of my head, are Lawler McDonald 2 and Lawler Condit. Um, Jones Gustafson probably. But I will say this: my favorite fight from last year, and I also think it was one of the best fights that I've seen in a long time, was Ribovic and Zellhuber. Which also, the people that fucking put Gaethje and Holloway above that need cold from this earth, because yeah, it was a good fight, but it wasn't Zellhuber and Ribovic. This was, I'm not going to say 10 times better, but it was at least doubly better because Zellhuber and Ribovic was so fucking good. But every round in this fight was just magic, magic the whole way. Uh, Best flyweight fight. I have to go back and watch the Figgy and couple of those Figgy and Moreno fights, because there's one of them that was
the very first
like,
one. The very
yeah,
first one was a banger.
yes, yes. Which one? There was one that was a draw, right? Was that the first one?
Yeah, it was that one.
Yeah. That it's it's up there. Also, the fact that they set the record for, because me and you were on FaceTime talking about it, set the record for significant strikes landed in a flyweight bout in 3 rounds.
Yeah,
Dude, I remember like
going into the third round, they were like, yeah, they're already in the top 10 or something like that. Like
oh, I
they're
think
the
it was like top
five.
five. Yeah,
Yeah, they're already in the top 5 going into the third round. So in 2
yeah.
rounds, they were already close to breaking that record.
And then I think they like turned up the volume from, like, I think they landed even more in the third. And like, I mean, even like I was watching it and I was waiting for those breaks, those pauses, because a lot of fighters will like reset and there'll be pauses where strikes aren't thrown. No, like literally, like Van landed the better strikes, but Royval, like even when there should have been a second, he might have probably should have reset. He was like, no, I'm just gonna keep fucking. I'm just gonna, like, he didn't land all of them, but he was like, no, I'm just gonna keep punching. And I was like, take a breath. I was like sitting there, I was like, take a breath, but at the same time, I was like, no, just keep going, just keep going.
And if I recall correctly, Royval landed like a pretty nasty knee right before he got knocked down.
Yes, dude.
That just encapsulates the fight. Yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah,
dude, and he landed a knee, I think, in that second round too. His knees, because it was like what dumbass Patchy was trying to mix. Patchy was trying to mix. Patchy was trying to mix in with this fight against Bautista. Those stepping knees. When you are that tall, you can get your knee up that high. And again, Josh Van's like 5'7", 5'6", or something like that. Maybe shorter than that. He's flyweight. I'm not good on their heights, but I know that Royval's 5'10", at least 5'9", 5'10". So he's got that knee that can just touch the chin immediately. And I was, dude, the whole fight. Again, I'm a van driver for sure. I'm driving a van, but Raw Dog, obviously, I'm still rooting for Raw Dog every day. And like low key again, I was rooting, like, I think we texted and I said I still ride for Raw Dog, but I was like, man, Van's getting close to stealing my fandom.
I was definitely rooting for Van, and I know, like, I think everybody likes Van. He's got a likable personality. He's not
100%.
He's one of those guys that's easy to get behind, young dude. So everyone's jumping in on the train right now. Yeah, which made that so much more special. Like, everyone was so happy to see that. And that's nothing against Brandon Royval. Everyone likes him too. I think Max
I'll
might.
always ride for Raw Dog, but
Yeah,
I'll
I
always.
think Max might have been rooting for Royval because that first round Max was a little quiet, and then second round comes
Dude, when
around, Royval gets a couple, and then suddenly Max is going, oh. I was like, all right, where was that in the first round? There was some, but
like that's the thing is when like when he landed that knee right there at the end, I was like, yeah. And then like when Van knocked him down, you would have thought I would have been like, oh fuck, but no, I was like, oh,
yeah,
I was
it's
like,
awesome
because it's just violent, bro. And that's a good thing. Like that's what I like. It's so fucking hard. I'm trying to become more unbiased towards fighters because it makes it so much, excuse me, so much more fun to watch when you're unbiased. And
yeah.
like several fights on this card, I was kind of like unbiased and I was watching them and enjoying. But again, I was biased. I say I was unbiased. Actually, there were several I was biased on, but still, like it's more fun almost when you're unbiased, or actually, I'll say this: it's better when you like both fighters because you're kind of bummed for one. Outside of like the Taporia fight and Oliveira fight, like I was really bummed for Oliveira. Like I do like Taporia, especially after the Rogan interview,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I
but
like Ilia a lot, and I've
but it's
always
like that one was
been
just
a fan,
hard
but
because I was like, fuck, man.
yeah.
But this one, the Royval Van fight, I was like, this was fucking spectacular. And all right, everybody. So the next fight that we're going to be talking about on the card is Benny Dariush versus Hanato Money Moicano Carnero. If we want to be realistic, do his full name there. But anyway, Benny Dariush, Benil Dariush, man, he got it done. Kind of a vintage Benny, reminded me a lot of kind of the Gamrot fight where he just dug deep, found what he needed to do. Moicano surprisingly like had nothing for him on the ground. I was really kind of surprised by that because Moicano is like very very dangerous when it comes to being on the ground, but Benny just was very top heavy. Um, had him down. He did get dropped in that first round. So credit to Moicano there. Just again, not a lot to say about the fight. It's kind of just how Benny fights go. There's not a lot to say about him. He
Kind
just
of,
does what he does.
kind of a weird feeling, and I love Benil, but it's like one of those ones where it's like, you had to like work real hard to kind of. It's not like he was dominating really in the second, third round. I mean, in a
He was
way,
coasting.
yeah, a little bit, but it's one of those fights where it's like, all right, but who had the bigger moment? And it was Moicano in round one by like a mile.
Right.
And obviously that's not how it works, and not how it should work either. But it's just like one of those ones where it's.
Well,
I love
pride,
Benil. Yeah,
pride rules. Moicano
yeah,
would have actually kind of won that fight because he had the
yeah,
biggest moment.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's one of those like, and like I said, love Benil. It's not trying to take anything away from him, but he just it's like it doesn't feel. It wasn't very impressive. Doesn't give you a lot of hope for him going forward because he's talking about he's like, oh, I want the championship, dog. What? You want to fight Ilia? You want to what?
Dude, that's the thing too is like getting dropped by Moicano in the big 2025.
And it was like pretty like his eyes like rolled a little bit while he was hitting.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling his chin's got. I mean, you got to think about it. He's been knocked. Oliveira killed him. Armin killed him. Back in the day, this is 5 years or so ago. He got nuked into like a literal different like multiverse by Edson Barbosa with the knee. I don't know if you ever saw that. Almost
Yeah.
got killed by Drakkar Klose until he killed Drakkar Klose. His chin's just always been iffy. And the problem and the sad part about Benny, I love him. Again, dude, I remember, I don't know, I don't know if you remember part of the podcast, if you were part of the podcast at that point, but when Benny fought Charles, I picked Benny going into that fight because I was like, oh, man, he's on a run. Like, he's like, this is Benny's time. And then Charles nuked him. And I was like, and then
Yeah.
I think,
I was not on the pod yet, but I
I
also,
didn't think
as a
so. Yeah.
Charles fan, I remember being nervous going into that
Yeah.
fight for Charles because
Shit, I was going to say Benny had top control and was kind of punishing him there for a second. But then Charles was like, did that. You know what I'm talking about.
yeah.
He did the no, and got him. And that's the thing, man. The only people that Benil has, like, you could do the honestly the fight that I would like to see, kind of maybe it makes sense for both fighters right now, is a Gamrot rematch, but and I think that would be a fun fight. But realistically, it'll probably be somebody like Fazeev, maybe even Bahamon. I could see that. I could see, even though he won a fight, I could see the UFC being like, "Oh, it's Benny. Throw him against Manuel Torres. Throw him against Ignacio Bahamondes. Throw him against Daniel Zelke. Like, give him an up and comer that can really hit hard. Fuck him. Like that's what the UFC will do. And realistic, it could be Fazeev next. I think Fazeev will get somebody maybe little higher. But
Yeah, it definitely didn't help it. Well, I was gonna say it didn't help his case that he didn't call anyone out
he
afterwards.
never does.
Yeah, but also at the same time, he didn't put on a performance that like gave you the right to demand anything really. So like even if he did call somebody out, they'd be like, all right, well anyway, so like here's this guy instead.
Yeah, he that's the thing though. When he does win big, he doesn't call out anybody. But yeah, it was one of those ones. And Hanato Moicano, Moicano, I don't know, man. I think he needs to reevaluate where he's at, what he's doing, what he's thinking. Because realistically, like the Moicano that beat the dog shit out of BSD probably could have beat this version of Benny.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Moicano's on the downhill. Also, like he's been so focused on like the crypto shit and money making, and honestly, like
I think he might be
his
able to afford to lose now is the issue. He can afford
well,
to
I,
lose.
I think I said it in our group chat, like one of our group chats. I said I think like he's fighting, and I said yeah, I did say it. It was like going in the third round. I was like Moicano's fighting like he can afford to lose now because again, he did the crypto commercial. I know he's making bank off of that.
I'm sure he got paid great to step in on a day's notice to
Oh
fight.
yeah, he's set. He's set, and the thing is, he's his career is secured because he could probably like lose two or three more, but the UFC loves him because he's good on the mic. He does shit for him, like he did that Islam thing for him. I mean, he fought Rafael dos Anjos on a week's notice when he literally remember he said, I was on, or no, who did he beat? Didn't he beat somebody on a week's notice or something?
Yeah, I
He's like,
remember that.
I was on a boat. I was drinking beer and eating steaks, like
Yeah.
So, so yeah, he shout out Moicano stepping in. I think it actually might have been the loss against RDA. He came in on like a week's notice, but I think he might have still got the mic. I don't remember. UFC changes so much. Sometimes they give the losers the mic, sometimes they don't. But anyway,
Might have been a main event, and that's why he got the mic.
probably yeah.
I remember which fight. I remember that, but I don't remember what the fight was.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, he stepped in on a week's notice. I do remember. I do know that the RDA one was short notice. I just don't know if it was that one. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, Money Moicano. Maybe like I could legitimately see him slipping into a Forrest Griffin role with the UFC where he just does marketing stuff, does PI shit, does money shit that has to do with money, like in his own way. Because Forrest is like the president of the PFI now, or P. What the fuck? I just had a brain for it. What was it called?
The
PI, UFC
PI.
PI. He's the president of that, and he does like power slap shit. I could see Moicano rolling into that because his English is phenomenal compared to what it used to be when he first started. And he just
It's like it's still a little broken, but it's like the fun kind of broken.
the right
yeah, the perfect kind of broken English.
I love because I don't know if you've seen the Bitcoin commercial. He calls it Bitcoin because he's Brazilian. He calls it Bitcoin. He's like bicha, they say bicha coin. You got to get a bicha coin or whatever. But yeah, shout out Moicano, shout out Benny. Fun, it is a fight. And honestly, it wasn't like a bad fight. It was a fight.
Yeah.
But rolling into the next one, a good fight actually, one that could have been contender for fight of the night if Royval Van didn't happen was Peyton Talbot versus Felipe Lima. And man, I think us and the whole world wrote off Peyton Talbot going into this fight because when it was announced, I remember everybody was like,
They're trying to kill
like
him off or something.
you're
Yeah.
trying to kill him. And
Yeah.
Peyton said, like dude, he looked like a world's difference. Like he looked like when I say 10 times better fighter, he looked like a 10 times better fighter. Like that version of Peyton Talbot, I think would dog walk Ione Barcelos. Like he
Yeah, it makes you wonder what the hell happened because we all expected him to beat Barcelos, and then that
well, he
happens.
was like a minus 2,000 favorite.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then that happens. And then I will say, I think everyone was very quick to just be like, oh, I guess he's actually ass. And we just wrote him off. After last night, that's looking like that whatever happened versus him and Ione, it was just a bad night, a one off because dude, he came back and whew, boy, he looked excellent.
Well, it makes me wonder too with Talbot, because he seems like the guy that doesn't like he says funny shit. He talks like he's very awkward, but like the funny type of awkward on the mic where he just like says certain things. But he doesn't seem like the type of guy that'll be like, "Yeah, I was injured." It makes me wonder if he wasn't injured against Howney, or that led to something, and because the grappling difference again, Felipe Lima. I'll say this too. I think Felipe Lima would probably beat Jaime Barcelos because of like his grappling is that good. And honestly, like he had his moments against Talbot here. He was landing some decent ones. He kept spamming that spinning back fist. I don't know what that was about. He threw it like 5 times. I was like, what are you doing?
Surely one
But
of these is gonna one of these is gonna do the
yeah,
trick.
but like he landed a few, like I remember each round he landed like two really, really solid straights. And I was like, oh fuck. Like I was waiting for Peyton to buckle because like he landed a couple of them. I'm like, how is he not going down? Because like when Felipe lands, he's landing hard. But then like Peyton would just come back and like I love his striking is so I don't even know how to. It flows so well. It's that crisp, like his body moves, but his head stays still. Not like I know he should move his head off the center line, but like it's that I don't even know. Like he would throw it. It's almost like he's lunging. Like he'll lunge in, but his head stays in the same spot the whole time. It's aesthetically pleasing, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Um, because it's like he's watching himself do it, and he would land it, and like he lands very strong, but from a distance. And man, he looked he looked like he's going to be a fucking problem. He's going to be a problem for a lot of people, especially shit. Like now that we know that he can grapple like that, and if like he keeps that up, he called out Adrian Yanez. I love Adrian, but don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if I'd take on old Peyton. I don't know because he's not Rob Font. Don't get me wrong. Have we seen Adrian since the Rob Font fight? Surely, right?
Yeah, I think so. Damn, have we not? I can't think of one, but that was a long ass time ago.
Oh, it's been like a year and a half at least, if not more. Let's see. I'm getting on old shirt dog right now. Adrian Yanez last fought. Oh yeah, you lost Daniel Marcos.
Oh,
Yeah, I remember he beat that idiot with the yeah, he lost Rob Font, then lost
he's
Jonathan
fought a
Martin
couple times since the Font fight. Cause yeah, I forgot he
yeah,
had that leg, the
leg kick.
John Martinez.
And then he beat that idiot with the stupid ass then he beat that idiot with that stupid ass haircut. Like he had like a little piece of hair right here on the front of his head. And then he lost a split decision to Daniel Marcos, which actually that's not a bad loss because Marcos is a pretty good fighter. Let me see. Let me see what Sherdog scored that fight. Looking it up right now. Where did they fight it? Oh, they fought about middle of the card. Sherdog, all of them scored it for Marcos, but Yanez got a split. I'm not going to even go on MMA decisions. I'm sure that's going to be all over the place. But anyway, so his last fight was Daniel Marcos in December 2024. Split decision loss, which isn't like a bad loss because Daniel Marcos was undefeated until he fought Montel Quick Jackson. So hell, that's not a bad fight. And Daniel
Yeah.
Marcos looked decent against Montel until Montel really started grappling him. So anyway, rolling it back to Adrian Yanez to Peyton Talbot. I'm gonna be honest, love Adrian, and like I know he probably won't ever see this, but if he does, love you. But I think that Payton probably finishes yet. If I'm honest, he probably finishes it, man. Honestly, like if I'm Payton, crazy, maybe 2 too much too soon, but like, how about Jonathan Martinez? I like that fight because
Yeah,
I don't want to see Adrian lose. I don't want to see Adrian lose.
yeah. Martinez, I was kind of thinking the same thing looking at that. Yeah, I'm fine with that one. Martinez is on a 2-loss streak, but they're not bad 2 losses. It was Jose
Yeah,
Aldo
Aldo.
and then Marcus McGee. Those aren't two of the worst
Hey,
losses. I'll say
and
that.
Marcus is getting ready to fight Piotr Jan. Dude,
Piotr
this
Jan,
bantamweight division, man. Woo,
wild.
shit. Peyton could. I think Peyton should do what Sugar Sean kind of did, which was slow roll and then speed run. Like slow roll and then speed run. Like he maybe take. I do think he
Pretty
should
much
have.
what it's pretty much what Van accidentally
Yeah,
did. Slow
yeah.
roll.
Because dude, I was sitting there thinking about it because like Sugar Sean fought like literally nobody, and then they're like, hey, oh yeah, he fought Pedro Munoz, was
Yeah.
losing the fight until Pedro got poked in the eye, and then they called it a no contest, and then they're like, here's Piotr Jan, and he's just like, okay, like okay, and then fought Piotr Jan.
And he was, I
Oh
remember Sean was pretty open about it. He was like, yeah, I'm not getting like, I'm on this contract right now. I'm not fighting these guys for
yeah,
bullshit money. Like that is fair play. Can't argue with that.
and that's what's crazy too. Like that's kind of what like actually speaking of that, because Peyton's probably still on the Dana White Contender Series contract. I gotta imagine he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I sometimes they disclose those payouts. I would like to see what his payout is. I'm sure it's sponsored and everything. He gets paid well for, but yeah, maybe one more fight and then get in the big leagues possibly too. But yeah, and then Felipe Lima, nothing to like hang your head about. He still is pretty fucking good. Like he's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
He's young too. I think he might be younger than Peyton. But anyway, that's the main card of UFC 317. Good discussion there. We've been going for a while. We'll speed run this prelims here, just kind of real quick notes on a lot of them, talk about them here and there. Jack Hermanson fought Gregory Rodriguez, and Jack Hermanson, that man got sent to the Shadow Realm and then buried into the Shadow Realm with that extra shot that probably shouldn't have been thrown, but
Hey, Derek Lewis warned us. Herb Dean fault, man. Herb Dean fault.
people, dude,
That
it's
was
getting
that was an abysmal attempt. Like he wasn't when it first happened, and it was like, damn, like that fucking hammer fist came a little later. Like I was thinking, was Herb Dean not paying attention, or was he just being slow? They show the replay. He's very focused. He gets there quickly, but then he just stands behind him and holds his hips. Dog,
yeah.
you need to shove him against the cage. He is going like this, and you're just going to be like, oh, don't do that. Let me touch your hips from behind
Yes,
real quick. No, shove him against the cage. Like,
it's like
stop
it's
that shit.
if you ever watch fuck, I'll give you three good examples. If you ever watch Jason Herzog, Mark Goddard, or even smoking cigarettes, what's his name? Fucking the guy, cigarettes and alcohol. What's his name? The guy that
Keith
got real skinny.
Peterson, Mr.
Keith
No Doubt.
Peterson. Yeah, Keith Peterson. All they will dive into dudes like, especially
Yeah.
Herzog. Herzog will like literally fucking jump into
The
somebody.
man's
And
ready to take
Goddard,
a bullet for an unconscious man. I love it.
yes,
And to
God
be
and
fair,
Goddard.
Herb Dean, he got made fun of for the way he slid into home base after Gaethje knocked out Poirier. I don't know. Maybe it was just because this was like happening up against the
Yeah,
face that he didn't want to dive in. But it's like, dude, you just like you got to lunge yourself at RoboCop. Like he's got his
yeah,
fist up in the air. I'm not trying to tell a professional. Obviously, who knows how I would have done it if I wasn't there. I might have just. I mean, I'm a fan, so I probably should have been like, oh, just like not doing anything.
right.
It's like, dude, you got
Kind
to
of like Goddard did against
jump at him.
when
Just
Goddard against Holloway and Gaethje.
yeah.
He
He's like,
was like,
oh. But yeah, you just gotta throw yourself in there. Like he
yeah, for
probably,
sure.
I don't know. It's whatever. But it's like,
I
dude,
mean, it's like, dude, honestly, like I don't like
people from getting like very unnecessarily hurt, and that's nothing against. I don't hold it against RoboCop. The ref did not stop him. The ref just
yeah,
really touched his hips.
There's like,
I think also I take that back. RoboCop could have had the decency to be like, well, this man's clearly sleeping right now. There's no
yeah,
need.
like that's the thing is like I watch, I the fighter I think of, and I really, really respect him for what he does, and it's not just because he's like one of my favorites, because he is, but like Khalil's a really good example when I think of when he yeah the when
Yeah,
he held it up,
Anthony.
because like I know it was kind of comical, like he was holding it up, but like legitimately at any point in time, any other fighter would have just been like boom. I mean, because Anthony Smith was still technically kind of there, and he could have just went in and just started fucking. Like he probably could have body kicked him like he does and waylaid him. And knowing Khalil, it would have been disgusting. But he held it up, And that's the thing is like, I know RoboCop's just doing his job, but it's like, God bless, man. Like that dude was this. He was deceased. He was dead on the floor. So, I hope Jack as well. I hope that Jack takes some time. Um, You know who Jack reminds me of? And I don't think they're the same. I don't think they share the same nationality because Jack is
Check.
no Norwegian. Yeah. Okay. So who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Gunnar Nelson, who's Icelandic. So, um, just they don't fight very often. Um, they beat, I guess, who they're supposed to beat, and they're kind of they got some veteran savvy, very good grappling. And except for the difference is now I say that Gunner's going to get knocked out absolutely viciously in his next fight, but no, they remind me a lot of each other. So I'm hoping Jack takes some time off, doesn't get in there too quick. I think, speaking of Gunner, I think Gunner's already booked, was like looking to be booked for another fight. Crazy. Jack needs to take the rest of the year off. Honestly, take like, I'm sure he's doing well for himself. I'm sure he has a gym where he's teaching and everything like that. He probably has good money. But take like a year, like take a full year. And he's going to be old by then, but shit, at that point, take easy fights, take some nobodies, just be a stepping stone. If you lose, make it a, whatever. Also, that's crazy. Speaking of, just now thinking about that, Jack Hermanson beat Joe Pfeiffer, who, like, if you think about it, like, do you think Joe has more power than RoboCop? Yeah, right? Like, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they say so. They say that Joe Piper's got all the power.
I think he might have more athleticism. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Also, it comes down to so many. Just that their fighting styles were different. RoboCop hit him, clean on the chin, like as he's backing up, so his head just.
And it was just like a short, wasn't it? Like it was like kind of like a short left, right? It was a short left.
Yeah. Caught him right on the chin, just like as.
Where like Joe, when Joe lands, it's like fucking from the depths of. Speaking of, just out of it in my head, Joe versus RoboCop next.
Oh, I was actually about to mention that. I was like, yeah, I'm down.
So yeah, okay. All right, that one. Yeah, good showing from RoboCop. Still fucking like fairly young. He's younger. Is he younger than me? I think he is. Great. Wild.
Yeah, I think he's a lot younger because I remember thinking just by looking at him, you'd think he was old as shit, but he's like not.
He's. I think he's the same age as me, but he's like a few months younger. He's 31, right? He might be 32.
Let's see.
See what the Google says.
He is 33. Yeah.
30. Okay, so he's a little older than me, but
looks like he's 45. It's insane.
Oh, Obama looks like Barack
Obama. Let me be clear, and then he just.
Let me be clear. I need him like, and when he talks, he's kind of got. If he spoke perfect English, he would have the same like kind of tone as Obama, which is crazy. But anyway, they're bred from the same cloth somewhere. Maybe Donald Trump was right. Maybe Obama wasn't born in the United States. I don't know. Don't fucking come for me. I'm just joking. That was a joke. Anyway, we got to get through these real quick. So Jose Delgado, he hurricaned Hyder Emil. Hyder Emil came in there like he does, and Delgado said, "Here's a knee for you."
Nasty.
And, nasty, good stoppage. I don't care what anybody says. I don't think I saw anybody saying it was bad stoppage, but I remember Hyder protested, but if you watch the replay, Hyder was out. he was out, but he came back too on like the second hammer fist, which it's crazy that hammer fist can wake people up. But
Yeah.
like, it's just like what? Um, Delgado, man, the Shaq meme. I was not familiar with your game, so um, big shout out. And people were saying, I mean, Yanni the Greek said it. I think during the card was like, he has faith in him, and like I was like, Yanni, you're wrong about a lot of shit. I don't know, and he's right. So, you have too much to say about that one, man.
Not a whole lot. Impressive ass knockout.
Good shit, good shit. Viviane Aru Arujao, however you say it, versus Tracy Cortez. Cortez dominant kind of win. Arujao was mad. Like,
Yeah.
why you mad, bro? Like, why you mad, bro? You lost the
Yeah.
fight. Like, I
You
don't.
be mad at yourself. What? I never understand that. I never understand that.
She got mad. You're mad because she beat you because she did better
Yeah.
than you. Ooh.
Yeah.
Anyway, and Cortez did nothing wrong in the fight that I could see. She grappled like she was supposed to. She fought like she was supposed to. So shout out, crazy Tracy Cortez, getting back in the win column. Now is going to be top 10 ranked because I think Arujao was like number 8. So good
Mm-hmm.
win for her. Maybe she can make a run towards the title. Maybe not. I don't know. She's got to drop the fake eyelashes if she's going to do that because she's gonna get hit a little bit more up there towards the top. But shout out Crazy. Trey. I keep saying crazy. Crazy. Uh Tracy Cortez. Terrence McKinney. That
Yeah.
man, like that man's got somewhere to be, like
Yeah.
at all times. Like he's like
I think he tweeted, he was like, sorry that took so long. And he tweeted that like, I'm telling you, like maybe 2 minutes out after he stepped out of the octagon, he got right to his phone. He's like, I got a tweet for
man,
this one. That was wild.
and I know that motherfucker. He just does it like, hey, I will say this also. I know he won't ever see this. T-Rex, I'm sorry. What I don't even remember what I said. Actually, I do remember what I said that got me blocked, but he has me blocked. Sorry, Terrence. What I don't think what I said was out of pocket, but he said that Bobby Green took a dive against Patty Pimblett, and I said kind of like how you took a dive against Bonfim. Like like maybe not the best thing. Sorry, Terrence, but anyway.
Whatever. Terrence is he's a bit of a dumbass. I'll say that.
No,
But
no, he's
he's
dumb
a
as
fun
hell. But
fighter. He's a fun fighter, and I
he's
I
fun,
wasn't
man.
expecting that at all, dude. They were, I mean, from the start. I think wasn't it like zero significant strikes in that fight? Zero
Yeah,
strikes at all.
I think
Even
on
maybe.
both sides, right? Yeah, on both
Literally,
sides.
they just started rolling, and next thing you know, dude, he had that thing. He had Slava Claus looking like terrified. The way he was like, oh, obviously, like you're supposed to kind of kick your legs to get out of that, but you could see the
Slava was like no.
yeah, he was doing that. Like he like looked frantic, like he was freaking out.
I'd have
Man,
been crying.
that
Like I'd
shit,
have been if it was me, I'd have
that
been
shit
crying.
was tight. That was scary, but
Like how quickly he got it locked up. Again, it is credit to like what he needs to change his name from T Rex to like fuck it, like he needs to steal Vulcan Ozmir's no time.
yeah,
Fuck it's got to be or like don't blink one of those like
yeah,
he
yeah.
does not have the time to be in there, man. Like he's got to make a moniker of that. Like I don't like this like I'm on the fucking clock and I like or I'm like no he needs to say this is what he needs to say I'm paid salary so I
Yeah,
need to get the
yeah.
fuck out
I
of
was,
here.
about to say, I was about to say, he knows he's not getting paid by the hour. He's
Right, yeah.
paycheck's the same regardless. He's just trying to get that win bonus or that win money.
Parents salary McKinney. I'm paid salary. But dude, he's got a on the mic. I would love him to just make some funny ass joke about time. But yeah, he got. And unfortunately, if anybody's been watching the show for a while, as you guys know, I'm a ride or die for Slava Claus. Man, Borshev, I love the guy. I've always liked the guy. He's a very, very, very good striker. Very good striker. He's just not a good grappler. And for a guy who has been training he's only been training grappling for like, I think it's like 3 to 4 years at this point. And he's been still mainly sticking to striking, obviously, because that's what his strength is. And he trains with Team Alpha Male. I was hoping his grappling would get better, but it's just not there. And I think shout out to Combat Sports Today. I was tuned into their breakdown earlier today of the card. Um, they said that they think that Slava Claus would be very good in BKFC or Karate Combat. fucking would love to see it. Get Slava Claus and honestly karate combat because he can throw kicks. And old Phil from Combat Sports Today said that he'd message Perez. So maybe we can get Slava Claus now, but let's get him in there, man. That's all I got to say. I just got to give a shout out to Slava Claus. Love the guy. Hope the best for him. Unfortunately, and I just know he will be cut after this fight. It sucks. It's just how the game goes. And if he isn't, I'll be surprised and I'll be happy if he isn't because it'd be cool to see him back out there. But anyway, down to the last two fights. I really don't have much to say outside of the next fight. Biggest UFC favorite or biggest favorite in UFC history. Really didn't look like the biggest favorite in UFC history. Gas Tank wasn't there. He was doing a lot of work to Nico Price. Shout out to Nico's veteran savvy, but man, I don't know. Like he's got some holes. I know Nico was a lot bigger than him, but Gas Tank was failing him. And honestly, had Nico had more of a gas tank going into that second round, I think Jacoby Smith's night might have been over because Nico, yeah.
That was it was a bit of a concerning performance. Watching him get up after the first one because he looked, fine the first round. Definitely was hunting the finish. So him not getting it was a little disappointing, but then became concerning watching him just get up and being like, oh, he's looking real labored all of a sudden. And it showed a little bit. Yeah. It's concerning, but it's also like that's not something that can't change,
Right.
You might be all right.
Hey, but just how good is Robbie Lawler? I mean, come on, man. Like, yeah, Robbie Lawler probably would have slept Jacoby Smith, but Jacoby doesn't want that smoke, so it's okay because Robbie's retired. Please stay retired, Robbie. He talked recently, I think, about maybe wanting to fight again. He's, for the love of God, just stay retired. Anyway, but Jacoby, man, I hope they put him up against another, like, is this a step too far? Like Morono, maybe? Morono? Would that be? That's pretty up there.
I think that's all right. I think that might be fair. Right.
Morono or I think D-Rod might be a step too far, but plus D-Rod's fighting Holland supposedly. So, but anyway, there's that fight and the fight that everybody's been waiting for us to talk about. The best, like, all I know is that this fight, I'm probably going to rewatch it 1,000 times. Fucking dude, Jonathan Deniz versus Alvin Guzzi. Is it Guzzi, right? Alvin Guzzi Hines.
Guzzi, baby.
Dude, that was, and everybody said it, I'll say it again, that was tap out era heavyweight. That was old school, like, down to the nitty gritty. Like, it legitimately, like, it reminded me of some, like, fucking Tim Sylvia versus Andrei Arlovsky type shit. Just dudes banging. I love Jonathan Deniz. I love Alvin Hines because I've always, like, ever since Deniz got into the UFC, I've liked him. And like, now I love Alvin Hines. That dude.
Dude, I fell in love with that guy watching that fight. Dude, him going to DC after the fight, face just mashed up, swollen, bloody, and going, did I even get hit? Dude, that's incredible. I love
and, like,
that.
the whole dude. I remember, so I watched the weigh-ins, and like he walked up there, and like he was walking out, and he saw the camera, and he gave it one of these, and was like, I'm like, this dude's just having a good time. People were clowning him, saying, oh, this guy's going to get his ass beat. Like, saying, this dude, like the obvious things, like saying, like, oh, he looks like a dude you'd see at the bar, or like this guy looks like a 40-year-old Midwest dad, stuff like that. But like, I saw a lot of people like legitimately shitting on him. Like, people were saying, I can't wait to see this stupid fuck lose and stuff like that. And I was like, what? Like, where is this coming from? Just because they said they didn't like his face and stuff like that. Now I know he has
MMA fans are just
right. Like, yeah, like dude, there was a tweet that someone, like, I think it was Superfan, McGregor Rousey Superfan, I think tweeted, I think it was him that said that, like, can't wait to see this guy lose. Like, I just can't stand that face or something like that. I know he trolls, but it was like, it had like 4,000 likes, and I was like, what? Like, come on, man. Like, I know you're probably just fucking around, but like, don't tweet that shit out because you're giving, like, but anyway, Hines, man, Alvin Hines, like when he the weigh-ins, I was like, I like this guy. Like, he's just super respectful. They faced off. And Jonathan Deniz was just happy to be there too. And I was like, this, like, I had a feeling, and I was like, this is gonna be fun. Like, I think this is gonna be fun. It could be sloppy, it could be whatever.
Well, I'll
Because
tell you this. I loved Hines' performance. I'm going to go ahead and just put it in right now. That's my that was my spark to the card.
I know that,
Specifically
and
Hines, dude. There's something about like no discredit to Denise. I just feel like it was Hines that was like really like, despite the fact that he lost and was getting kind of butchered, he was the one that like kept the energy of the fight rolling.
yes, and he
Obviously,
was happy the whole time.
yeah, having the time of his life. That just got me pumped up. I tweeted, let me pull it up. I had a tweet that I stand by. Um, but pretty much just saying like he's the ideal heavyweight contender. That
Yes,
he brawls talent, skill. Not to say that he's not talented or skilled, but like that's on the back burner. What he cares
can we
about
be
is
honest?
putting on a fun fight.
He's probably more talented than half these motherfuckers out there because like he
Yeah,
has a
a lot
chin.
of things. People might have forgotten this. The first and I'll say it's not saying much. It's 2 minutes, but the first 2 minutes of the fight, he looked really sharp.
Yeah,
Maybe even less than that, but like he came out and he looked really sharp, and I was like, oh shit! Like he like had one
yeah.
straight that he landed that was like really nice. I'm hoping that he kind of keeps kind of going up and up. How old is
Mm-hmm.
he? He's probably
He's got to be older. I think he's
yeah, he's
probably like
probably not getting a whole lot better, but
right. But again, heavyweight, you can be 40 and still like be
yeah,
a decent. Alvin Hines is, I will tell you momentarily, I'm getting the Tapology 33.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. All right.
Okay.
Fuck
He
yeah.
did, okay. To be honest, he did look like he was like 40.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
but,
Dude,
dude,
that division should just be a bunch of Alvin Hines just fighting. Like this
yes.
is what I tweeted: is it should be a bunch of Alvin Hines, that kind of mentality, that kind of uh, just that kind of archetype,
Just
beating the
having
shit
fun,
out of each
man.
other. Yeah, beating the shit out of each other until one of those Alvin Hines strings together a couple wins and gets the opportunity to get slaughtered by Aspinall. That is what the
Yes.
should be.
Like,
That's what heavyweights are.
I'm telling you, man. And like, honestly, like you said, I really liked Denise is good. Like Denise is good, and Denise did what he needed to do. And I think the length played a big part in it. He could keep away from him, kind of. But what Hines did that I was super impressed in, that I don't literally, there's not a heavyweight on the roster that does this. Maybe outside of like maybe Curtis Blades and Almeida. Actually, Almeida doesn't even do it either. He just fucking shoots. But Hines, he
Yeah.
this changing levels. Like every once in a while, he'd be like this, and then he'd do this. When you do that, that disrupts the rhythm of your opponent, and that's why he was like, he's getting lit up, but he was having success. And I
Yeah.
think
Started
realistically,
finding
if
success again in the like had early success, started finding it again in the third, and then that whole eye debacle happened.
yeah, I mean that's but when you are like, he was fighting like somebody who. That's the thing. We don't see this in heavyweight. He fought like somebody who knew what the fuck they were doing. Like
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
wow. I was like, okay. That's why I was like, oh, he's showing feints. Like he's feinting level changes. I was like, what is going on? And dude, just shout. I love the guy now. Like
Oh
fucking,
yeah.
he's in
Big
my
Heinz fan over here.
that fucking Martin Scorsese meme cinema. Like that, like that, dude. I love Alvin Hines. I hope he gets. Honestly, give him a Taffa brother next. Either one of them. Let him beat the dog shit out of either one of them. Or
Oh
like Austin Lane, somebody like that. Like just let him, because I think he beats him personally.
I think Austin Lane fights at Nashville. Yeah, he fights
Against Ryan Spann, right?
no, not against Ryan Spann. I'm trying to remember who the hell it's against.
Was it a Taffa? No, because he got knocked out
Yeah,
against Taffa. But there is a Taffa brother fighting in Nashville.
there is. Petrino.
Awesome.
Petrino. That's right.
Ooh, and that's Petrino's heavyweight debut, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Damn.
last time he was a 205. Yeah.
Why the fuck is Austin Lane's name Dewan on? It's Dewan.
I see that.
What the fuck?
Dewan Lane.
And even like his Wikipedia still says Austin Douglas Lane. Why is it Dewan now?
Dewan.
Is he gonna come out to Dewan? Like, is that his name now, or my like? Hold on. It's still Austin everywhere else, but
See what his
Google has him as Dewan.
Yeah, he still lost
That's
him. I don't know what that's all about. But anyways, that was my
Google's
spark
just.
of the card. What's your spark of the card?
Oh shit, my bad, brother. Yeah, we gotta let's wrap this up. Sorry, I was laughing at
Yeah,
Dolt.
no.
Dude, honestly, I'm gonna be honest. It's probably this one, but let me think of something a little different.
There's a handful.
Dude, honestly, it was this one, man. It was Alvin Hines.
Yeah.
I can't even just watching it. I was like, that from that moment on, I was like, this card, I think this card might be decent. But what really sparked it, what really secured it, what made me know it was going to be a good card, uh, to be honest, I know it was only the third fight, but it was McKinney subbing Slava Claus. I watched that and I was like, excuse me, I was like, we're in good hands here. And then,
Yeah.
Cortez dominated. It wasn't the most exciting fight, but she dominated, and it wasn't like horrendous. We've seen worse women's fights, and I was like, okay. And then Delgado did what he did, and I was like, okay. And then RoboCop did what he did, and I was like, okay. And then the main card just fucking okay, because we're gonna wrap this up shortly. How long has it been since we've seen a main card bang like that? Because it's always the prelims that bang. Always. Me and you know this because we fucking are prelim enjoyers. How long has it been since that main card has matched the prelim? A long time, right?
Uh,
Seattle? And
yeah.
Seattle
I
made
mean, let's not forget that maybe not as much as that. I'll have to sit on these for a little while, but I mean,
yeah.
we got to remember that 314 and 315 were bangers. Um, yeah, I mean that was a spectacular card.
Dude, hand up, best card since 300. I think so.
Think so?
It might be a bold statement, but
Let
I
me
gotta
go
look.
back and look because for some about 315 is sticking in my head where I was like, man, that was a great fucking card actually.
Okay, so
But maybe
we're doing our
yeah,
um,
we'll save it for later. We'll save it for that.
oh yeah, no 315 was really good, but I think this still tops it in my opinion. That is a good shout. 315 was good, but the prelims, I think the prelims on the oh yeah, that was where Bruno Silva got fucking his head dented in. Yeah, yeah, that was a good card. That wasn't a bad card. This one's we'll do the obviously we'll break down card of the year going into the mid-year fight awards. But anyway, we went a little bit long. We tried to, me and Squared got to work tomorrow, so we got to get to bed. But we wanted to break this down for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Honestly, this was just kind of like us fanboying about how good the card was because legitimately it was one of the best cards of the year, one of the best cards in recent memory. And like just the moments, man, scenes everywhere, everything. Obviously, it hurts a little at the top, at the very top for both me and Squared, but real respect, real. We're gonna be honest with you. We still recognize game. We recognize the best fighter in the sport today, probably, and just a legendary card. It's going to go down as an all timer for sure. I think, in my opinion. But we appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to tune in later this week for the mid-year fight awards. Make sure that you guys are stay tuned for the breakdown of the Nashville card the following week because our boys Squared and Max will be there live in person. Wish I could be, but I have prior engagements and everything else like that. But stay tuned for that. We'll break it down and we'll talk about it. And hope you guys just had a good time watching this. A little tired, drank a little bit too much of the Flint, Michigan water, honestly, on a Sunday. Shouldn't be doing that, but hope you guys had a good time. And thank you guys for tuning in. Squared, go ahead and take your part away, buddy.
Yeah. Thank y'all for listening. Follow us on our socials, X at bench_burner, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, all the other places at Bench Burner Sports. We obviously put out these episodes, but we put out different forms of content that we think y'all might appreciate. We're we're a couple funny guys, so we like to meme and whatnot. So you can catch that at those locations, those apps.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So follow us there. Obviously, if you're watching this video, like, subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, I don't know, send it to somebody. I don't know, whatever pumps the algorithm for Spotify and podcast platforms. Yeah, just send it to somebody. I don't know. Send it to yourself. You know, you can text yourself. Send it to yourself. Spotify is going to be like, damn, these guys are popping off. I think we just found out a loophole. But yeah, great card. Great chatting with you about it. Definitely gave us a lot to talk about. It's probably not that long, not a crazy long episode, but
no, it was an hour and a half, maybe after, like probably a little bit less after editing, but appreciate you guys tuning in. Also, real quick, I already said it during the episode, but again, because they gave a shout out to us, and also like we always appreciate them. Shout out Combat Sports Today, Phil from Combat Sports Today. Him and Mike got on the mic today on YouTube. Check out their live that they broke down the card. I got to catch about probably a quarter of it. I'm gonna watch or listen to the rest of it tomorrow, and hope you guys check that out, enjoy it. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we will catch you guys next time on the flip side. We appreciate you all. Have a good one.